How y'all doing today? Good morning, good morning. There's like 32 people in the hallway, so we're going to encourage them to get in here and then we'll get started. Y'all are a lively group today. We got breakfast, coffee. There's chairs up here. You want to sit? Hello, people online land. All right, so John Ferry has very nicely come up to me and asked me if he could have the microphone to read this quote. And I said, I guess, sure.
Thank you, Zach. Anything less than a conscious commitment to the important is an unconscious commitment to the unimportant. Stephen Covey.
Thank you, John. Let's give him a round of applause. This takes a little you have to read on this. Good work. Thank you, John. And thanks for volunteering and coming up to me. If anybody else wants to come up to me and do that, I'm always willing to share. So, come on. Who's got something to thankful for today? Sion, should I put you on the spot? Sion's a new dad again. As of last Tuesday, a little baby girl. Bobby, what are you learning back there? Should we share?
Well, I knew she was due. I didn't know it happened.
It happened.
I just asked if she looked like her sister.
I'm sure. Does she look like your sister? That's
And
good.
he said he's effing tired.
He's effing tired. That's good. All right. Well, congratulations, Stephen. Anybody have anything else they're grateful for today? What do you got?
All of my backup singers will be in town this weekend. My kids.
All your backup singers, your kids.
My kids from all around the world, country. They just feel like they're everywhere, and they'll all be in town in one place.
That's incredible. What's the celebration?
My daughters will be in Eva Janice Saturday night.
Cool. Good work. That's good. How many kids are they?
3.
3 kids.
Feels
Nice.
like 10.
Feels like 10. Yeah. Who else? Gratitudes. What do you got?
I finally got rid of a 400-pound TV that's been in my basement for a long time. That's a lot of weight, like literally, and
Your house could have been sinking with all that glass. 400-pound TV gone. Giant. What is it, like a 20 inch?
Oh, it's one of, it's this wide and it's this deep. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I couldn't ever get it up the basement because it didn't have any help. My son finally came over, so I came into it last night. I know it's a small thing, but that's the highlight of it. Sadly, that's the highlight of it.
Quick story. We're out of batteries here. Let's see here. We get it. Hey, Chris, if you're in there, you might grab some batteries. All right. So, anybody else? Gratitude.
You just want me to fill it in here? Okay, I can improvise. Actually, this week, how many have been to Villages Orientation? Of course, all that you've been. How many have not? Okay. I made a mental, I have one of those photographic memories. I saw your hands. Put them up high. Okay, 2. I expect 3. Okay, we're going to do agency also. So if you don't know Village's policy on agency, and a lot of agents coming from other companies have a different perspective on agency. So if you come from another company, please at least come for the 2-hour agent. Oh, we're not doing that again. We changed. Sorry. I thought we had talked about it. I didn't know we were actually officially not going to do it this week.
I thought since we did it in Jumpstart last time that
We
weren't doing it for orientation, so we've only scheduled it 9 to 12.
Okay, well, forget it. How many have been to Village's agency? How many have not? Okay. Well, if you'd like to stay after 12 o'clock, so we're no lunch, bring your lunch and we will do a quick agency play so that you will know exactly how Village operates under the track agency state of Tennessee policy. If not, I'll leave, or I won't even show up. Okay, so anyway, orientation 9 o'clock on Thursday. Well, tomorrow I'm going to be in Franklin with Ann Wilson, and we're going to do the first kickoff to the Franklin or Williamson County Collaborative. So I hope we have a good turnout. You that have been to Collaborative, you think they'll enjoy it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. It's really, really good, and I'm excited about that. You know what, Zach? Have you found your battery?
You're in.
Okay, well, that's all that's going on this week. It's a slow couple of weeks. It's hot, it's July.
Right.
We're kind of cool.
You look pretty cool there, buddy. All right, real quick, nominations are still open for the 2020 Board of Realtors, National Grid National Realtor Board of Directors. Anything else happening around town? What did Hunter send out on Friday about Williamson County? Mitsubishi is coming! That's a huge thing, and I don't even remember how many jobs it is. Angela, what do you know about it? That's awesome. You? 200 jobs? 200 corporate jobs? That's a big deal for Williamson County. It's it's one of the biggest automotive deals, I guess, since Nissan, right? So that's great. Let's see here. Market. How's the market? What are y'all seeing? A lot. Who sold something last week? All right, handful of people. Anybody listing something in the next 2 weeks? Ooh, nice. That's good. So when you're running comps for those listings, are you seeing? What are you seeing? Are you seeing is it easy to price houses? Are you seeing you have to take into account appreciation? What are you seeing? Those are tough questions. Is it hard to comp? Who's had a hard time comping houses lately? A couple of people? Who feels like it's pretty normal? You get it. Who has a listing again coming up? Okay. So y'all have prices for them yet? We're gonna take it out of the hat. Pin the price on the donkey. We'll figure that out. But rates-wise, rates are going well. We've got 30-year fixed rate has ticked up just a little bit to 4%. 5/1 ARMs are 3.875, and I mixed those two up actually. Sorry, I'm going to correct that. The 5/1 ARM is actually 3.375, and the 15-year fixed is 3.875. I think I got it right here. So 4%, 3.875, and then 3.375 for the 5/1 ARM. Has anyone done anything? Who's done like a loan other than a 15 or 30-year lately? What you got? Which kind of loans did we get? A what?
7-year.
A 7-year loan? Okay. Anybody else doing that, or are you seeing mostly conventional loans?
I'm doing arms.
Not doing arms?
I am doing
You're doing arms?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not as many though.
Not as many. What's the benefit? Why would you have an arm? Who doesn't?
Well, nobody lives in their home 30 years.
nobody lives in their home 30 years, so why take a 30-year mortgage and pay a premium for a locked-in rate for that long? So that's why 15 years are typically less, but sometimes they track closer together, and with rates this low, less people are doing ARMs. So 7 years it's fixed, and then typically it'll be adjusted thereafter, but the rates tend to be half to 3/4 point lower on a 5 or 7/1 ARM.
Is it amortized? Connie, how is it amortized? How is the 7-year amortized?
It's amortized over 30.
So it's amortized over 30 years, but there's just a balloon payment after 7, or unadjustable. Got it.
But it's fixed. It's the adjustment.
So it's
fixed,
the
so don't
same-
be afraid of like, oh my God, it's going to be a bazillion points. That's all determined on front end.
So it's the same structure as a 30-year loan, with just lower rates. And then the catch is, if you're in there longer than 7 years, your rate's not fixed anymore. Okay? Good tips. iBuyers. What do y'all know? Who has done a deal with Open Door? Okay, cool. I'm gonna talk a little bit about Open Door, and I want to give somebody else feedback because I have not done a deal with them. So I want to make this a collaborative discussion. But I've had a handful of people ask about this and kind of talk about what is this iBuyers thing. So who can explain what an iBuyer is? Who wants to talk about it? Who's done one?
So let's see. So the process I found was easy. Basically, there is a website that you upload everything to. It's very similar to VMIT. You get all your documents in, you wait for the approval, and once they accept your offer from that point forward, you just follow the guidelines on the site.
So this was what Open Door you talked about.
It's Open Door. Yeah, you talk to a person, but once you're under contract, you're turned over to a coordinator, who then at that point, it's just like watching the site. So if there's any updates to your platform, it sends you a notice.
Are you able to negotiate in person, or is it all uploading?
It's pretty much all uploading documents and talking through the site. But you do have a person, like my guy was there at all times. If I needed to reach out to him, he got back to me fairly quick. The only issue that we had, it was smooth. We closed in 2 weeks. And only issue we had was the negotiation on the repairs. They refused to do nothing. So, but other than that, it was fine. I had to buy it. Fine. Yeah, so the other thing that they did too was, the house was on the market for quite some time, and we were told that it was under contract, but they were waiting for our offer to come in, and we didn't get it in for 4 days. And so at that point, they actually accepted our offer, and from there it was smooth. So,
the worst thing about Open Door for me, everything was generally like you said. However, we wanted seller to pay title. And for them to pay title, we had to use Open Door title. I don't know if it's called, but whoever is their title company. And it was terrible because we're used to Rudy Title going through and helping the buyer feel good and explain everything line by line. They send a courier or somebody from Atlanta with instructions that says sign here, 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 and here. And that's it. They're not lawyers. If you ask them a question, they say, I can't really answer that because I'm not an attorney. There's nobody to talk to. So that was the worst part for me. So keep in mind, if you open the door and want them to pay title, your closing is not going to be what you expect.
So I'm going to flip on that one. They did get closing or title, and then we were able to use Rudy Title. I don't know how we got that.
You didn't get the repairs though, did you?
We did not get repairs. So I'll give you that. So that could be it. But we did use Rudy Title, and I agree with Scott on that. Their title company is very difficult to get hold of. The agents and your coordinator are great, but the title company is difficult.
Did you ask them to pay?
Yeah, one more comment.
Use Ruby?
Okay, so if you are showing that property, which is really important, so have their phone number in your phone. And every time I called them, they would give me a code remotely, and it sometimes it worked. And then I would say, well, this doesn't really work. So they'd give me another code and it would work. But that's a challenge. So be aware of that. Get there early before your buyer knows.
That's good. Okay, those are all great real world examples. So we're going to talk a little bit more about them. And I got into a rabbit hole last night and I stayed up until 4 a.m., which is crazy, but it'll make sense why. And I think I got some really cool data with it. I thought that I could download this stuff from CRS, and if you're interested, you can't. At least I couldn't call customer service when I was trying to do it. But I want to talk real quick about kind of Open Door's pitch, and then I'm going to get into some of the data that I looked through last night. I went through 400 transactions of the tax records of Open Door having purchased a property from a person in Nashville and then having sold it, and what that delta was. I made a spreadsheet of all the numbers, and I've got some really good data that I think is really valuable, and I'm going to share it with everybody so that you can talk to your sellers about it. But we'll dig into that in a minute. First, we're going to talk about the pitch. So what is Open Door's pitch? So first off, their website is really good, and just so you're clear, I am not against Open Door at all. There's a few reasons why. I think it's actually kind of a good thing. I think a lot of positives for it. So I'm not here to like make this a scare tactic or trash thing. There's certain things that I think we should be aware of, but it's about education. So the first thing is their website. Go check out their website. It's really well done. They make everything very transparent. When they talk about, why is Open Door better? Well, competitive cash offer in 24 hours. That's huge, right? No listing prep work or showings. Skip the repair work and deduct the cost. Right, Scott? Skip the repair work. Choose any date from 10 to 60 days to close. Traditional home sale, risk of buyer financing fall through, hours of prep work and home showings, manage repairs yourself. A lot of agents help sellers do that, but that can be a thing. An uncertain closing timeline. Those are all very true. So Open Door is solving a problem and a need for a convenience factor, right? So that's all accurate. This is how we make your competitive offer. They review the comparable homes, they account for unique features, they fine tune the market trends, and then they give you an offer. And we're going to dial in some of their offers. Some of their offers are really good and they make money. Some of them are really bad. They lost money almost 1/4 of the time.
Who lost money?
Open Door. They made some bad investments.
Account for unique features. Do they actually have an agent that comes through and surveys the home, or is
I think they have someone that comes through.
live person?
Has anybody dealt with them on that front? You have?
So they do send someone out. They send someone out to look at it and make sure that there are no other repairs that need to be made other than what they can tell from the pictures. Yeah, and they'll come out, and if you think the offer is low, they'll come out and look at it and see if they can agree that it needs to be higher.
So we'll talk about them losing money in a minute, but it sounds like somebody does come out. Service charge, so they do charge a fee. They don't just write you a check. They charge you a fee on top of that. We're going to talk about that fee. That fee averages 7.9%, call it 8%. And then they charge title insurance on top of that, so it's 9%. That's the average. It can get up as high as 13%. It can, I'm sure, get lower because the average is low, but that's the average. Oops, I'm using this remote for the first time, just a second. Service charge, repairs, and then closing costs. So they're going to charge you some upfront costs for repairs. So that in theory, if Scott's client asks for them later, then they will either have already had them done or can account for that. Open Door, this is on their website as well. I just copied and pasted this. Someone to assist you from beginning to end, yes, so you can work with an agent. Avoid prep, yes. No, you don't have to do that with traditional. You gotta, get a stage, all that stuff. Get an all-cash offer in 2 days? Probably not, maybe, who knows. Avoid housing costs, overlap double mortgages, maybe, who knows, right? Avoid financing falling through, I don't know. Avoid doing repairs, unknown, right? What are they capitalizing on here? Convenience, but what are they selling? A little bit of fear, right? Fear of the unknown. So certain personality types may be drawn to this. People who are what personality types would be drawn to this type of risky people? Probably more risk averse people. I just want to make sure it's done. It's their site is very geared toward that, very geared toward transparency and trust building. their service charge, their website does have some different things. I guess this was an example, just break down our fee in a recent Minneapolis, Minnesota offer. So they charge 3% buyer's commission, so they charge the seller that. They charge 2% of listing costs, 0.5% holding costs, because what happens if the property sits in the market for 60 days? Right? They're telling, on the previous page, they're saying that you don't have to, you don't have to deal with that, but they're gonna charge you for it on the front end, because they have to deal with it. And then a 1% convenience charge. And so where are they making money? They're flipping the house. They're making money, they're making some money on these fees, but most of these fees, generally, like, that goes to you. Some of that stuff goes to just their cost to manage all this process. So they're making money on the flip. An estimate of your net proceeds, home value, closing costs, pending assessment. So that was just a breakdown of what that Minneapolis one was.
So they have an inspector go through as well? I mean,
They have somebody that comes out and looks at repairs. So you can't, have a shack and then upload photos of the mansion. You're like, come value my house, and then you get an online offer. So somebody verifies that. Whether it's an appraiser or an inspector, I'm not sure.
Zach, can you go back to that last?
Mm-hmm. So this says, this was their on their website, their Minneapolis example. It's $289, $300. Closing costs were 0.8%. So what are closing costs? As a seller, what are your closing costs? Right? Title insurance, what does that cost roughly? About 0.5%, right? Plus then you got, a buyer would have, a buyer has transfer taxes and things like that, but sellers can have some commissions, things like that. So attorney's fees, courier fees, any HOA stuff. So call it 1%, they call it 0.8% here. Repair costs, so pending assessment, I guess that means the person has to come out and look at that. And then the open door service charge, which is 6.5%. So you got 6.5 there plus 0.8, so call that, what, 7.3. So if you look at that, 289 minus the 18.5 minus the 2309. This is just a blown up version of the side of this over here. Seller concessions, 2%. Oh, so this is showing the open door side right here versus what they're calling this side, right? So look at how they do a comparison. They say seller concessions 2%. Who has given 2% seller concessions lately? Okay. Just making sure. Not a single person raised their hand. Anybody else in video land? Nobody. Right. We're just not happening that often. So that's a little line item, but it's a big number. It's almost $6,000. Home ownership costs, home ownership overlap costs, 1%. Okay, that can be fair if you own two houses at once. Just show of hands, whose last deal did your buyers or sellers own two houses at once? Only a handful of people. But it happens, right? So that's fair. But a lot of times we're pretty good, and that's what they pay us for, right? Is to try to really dial that in and get a plan right from the get-go. This is another version of their website that showed some examples, and I thought it was interesting. It was a little bit more expensive. So this showed their average 7.9%, right? And then it said the average cost for traditional home sales 7 to 10%. So that's a big swing. I don't know where they got that number. But they're looking at $200,000, so 50 days against their selling the convenience. What does that say? You get this over here is just a blown up version of this.
Hey, Zach.
Yeah.
Are we making a false assumption that the offer prices are going to be the same?
You are a very, very smart man.
Sorry.
You nailed it. No. So what his question was, are we making a false assumption that the offer prices are going to be the same? And that is exactly where the money is, right? Because what did we just say? Well, how do they make money? By flipping, right? So when you put the house in the MLS and you sell it, is that like an open market? Like everybody has, that's probably the best opinion of market value, right? So we try to tell appraisers, we have 3 buyers who wanted this house. That's market value. Don't underappraise this. So, do they pay market value for the house? They pay the exact same market value. Before you answer that, aren't they going to have to put it back on the market and sell it for market value, and don't they want to make money? Yeah, so they're going to have to buy it for less. So very good, John. Those numbers should not be the same. So that was a little bit misleading. But again, and I'm not saying they're bad, but that jumped out at me after I started digging into this. And I was like, wait a minute. When you see the data, you'll see exactly what those differences are. So you can get this graph and show this to your seller. And I've got another one that we made that I'll show you in a second that shows exactly what the differences are. But all in all, this thing says that it puts Opendoor coming out a little bit ahead, primarily because they've got a 7.9 Opendoor service charge. They say 6% real estate commission, estimated seller concessions of 2%, and then no home ownership. So this little 3% gizmo here, those are big numbers. So that's where they're winning on the numbers. Between that and this. Based on my calculations, that should be more like one in the 180s or 190, no higher than 190 probably, based on their offer. We'll see that. All right, so we're going to go through this in a minute. It's kind of the same stuff. There's a lot of different versions on the website, so I kept copying them all. They do have good marketing testimonials. We can learn a thing or two from this. In a perfect world, what do you do with testimonials? How many should you have at least? I would say at least 4. One for what? One for each personality type, right? What are different personality types? There's the DISC assessment, there's the 4 Ps of Ninja. Peace, power, party, perfection. That's the one I use because I remember them most easily. I can never remember what this stands for. But it's effectively a lot of the same thing. So peace person. What does a peace person like to do? I mean, they like peace, right? They like confrontation? No, right? So if you look at this, what type of personality is this? Peace, party, perfection, or power? We're at the age where we just didn't want to do a lot of work in the house. We just wanted to get out there and move on with life. Opendoor helps us do that. Party. That's a party person, right? This one, to them, it's not about the sale. It's about trying to help families move on. They treated me like I was their only client and I had the one-on-one attention. I would say that's probably a peace person. You know, it's like, I just can't imagine that person, you try to confront that person and they'll probably would back off and not want confrontation, would my guess. It was quick, painless, price offer was exceedingly fair. Alleviated all the hassles we would have gone through, listing staging, on and on. Who's short, sweet, to the point? Boom, boom, boom. Power, right? We didn't want the extra stress of buyers backing out, financing delays, all that. That's when our agent suggested selling to Opendoor at such a smooth sale. So what is that? We didn't want the stress, right? Maybe power, maybe perfection, I'm not sure. This one I think is definitely perfection would be my guess. Opendoor's offer came in right at near our appraisal, right? Really dialed into the numbers, but we never had a list. We never had to list the house or do showings. So the kind of value Opendoor gives you is just a no-brainer. Right? It talks about his brain and talks about appraisal, meaning numbers, perfection, personality. Not that big a deal, but this stuff is smart, right? Think about that when you're getting testimonials. Make sure you get one for each person or one type of personality type. So this was interesting. 400,000 offers requested. Every 60 seconds, a homeowner requests an offer from Opendoor. Who's asked for an offer from Opendoor? I have. It's okay. I got denied. It's in my house was too old. They don't like houses over 50, 1950s, I think, or older than 1950s. Is it nobody else? Y'all should do it.
One of my clients have.
Yeah, go through it. Seriously, go through the process. It's like going to Zillow and getting a Zestimate, except it's just a little bit. It's one step more.
Do they flat out won't do an old house?
Huh?
They won't do an older house?
I've tried it 4 times since they came to the market.
It has something to do with
I
price.
was about to do it for Will's house.
Can I do it for other, like, if I have can I do it for other houses? Other people's houses?
I don't know. I mean, it's a website. There's there's no obligation. Every 60 seconds, a homeowner requests an offer from Opendoor. Now people are doing this. Do it.
Don't they have a restriction on the upper end of price point as well?
I think so. 500,000 is a pretty hard line where I ran into in the tax records.
if you do solicit an offer for them, I would suggest doing a case study on this on your Facebook or social media so we can start educating the market on where its place is in the market, just like we've tried to do with Zestimates. It's a great tool, but there's a place for it.
It's a great tool, and sometimes you'll find out that if if you go to list a house with the seller, they might give the seller a unintelligently high offer. As you'll see, I've got it all charted out, so you can see in a minute where they do well and where they don't.
I have a rental property and I was selling it for one price and I got an offer from them. And then I lowered the price like a month later and got another offer from them and it was different.
Okay, so you got two offers from them. So their offer is good for X number of days.
Well, the offer was different based on what the sales.
So you had it on the market.
Yeah.
It hadn't sold at X price, called $200,000, and they gave you an offer of like 190. Do you remember those numbers?
Yeah.
Can you say what those numbers were?
I think it was like
Real quick, just say what you had a rental
I had it for $425 and they came in at like $405 and then I had it at $4. They came in at like $380.
Okay.
Yeah, within a month.
So is that so shocking? If you're a buyer, if you represent a buyer and you see a property that's been in the market for a month or two, are you going to offer a little bit less? Right? Sometimes, even if a house is dropped below, if it was listed at $425 and then it got dropped to $4, even if you were going to offer $405 before, are you still going to offer $405? No, you might offer $385, right? So that's human nature. That's the market. All right. Here's where it gets exciting. Open Door filed to raise another $200 million as a $3.7 billion valuation. That's from TechCrunch. The Real Deal. This is another site. Curbed. The real estate transaction is broken. Tech companies want to fix it. Forbes. Open Door tops $1 billion in annual home purchase rate as it expands to Orlando and Raleigh. Are they growing? You're damn right they are. They have a lot of money. So you scared? All right. The end is near. The end is near. Is the sky falling? So who in the room has ever purchased a pre-owned vehicle? All right. Outside the condition was the first thing you want to know in order to determine what you think you should pay for it. Miles. Who said Blue Book? Right? And when you're looking through the Blue Book, that's somebody else's opinion, but what would you really like to know? Single owner? If you're talking about money though, what do they pay for it, right? Is that easy to find with cars? It's not that easy to find. I've looked it up. I think Blue Book might, I don't know, they give you like a range. Some of these car sites will give you like a range of, hey, it's a good deal based on what average ones are listed for or sell for, but they don't usually say. You can't look up the tax records, for instance. So, what about the car companies though? Has this happened? Anybody ever sold a car in CarMax? I have. Was it easy? I sold 2 cars at CarMax. You walk in, you say, take a look at it, and about an hour later you walk out with a check. Just wash your hands, done. It's literally that easy. That's all this is, just with houses. It's the same exact thing. Could I have made more money if I wanted to put my car on Craigslist or Cars.com or whatever, the Car Trader, Auto Trader, any of those sites and classifieds? Yeah. I don't know if there were car agents, but I probably could have hired a car agent to sell my car if there was such a thing, and then paid that, and that would have been easier. But no, I just walked into CarMax and they bought my car. That's all this is. So you're trading a little bit of price for some convenience, and then they resell it. Do they charge more when they resell it? Yeah. The next day, I know that there's going to be a cleaner, shinier version of my car out on the lot for probably 10%, 15% more than they gave me. Am I okay with that? Sure. I think, generally speaking, and I hope, and if not, that's our job to educate, but I think that most buyers, home sellers, know that that's what happens. Because in a minute, you're going to see that their houses literally go right back on the market in a matter of a couple of weeks. And so they're going to drive by and they're going to be like, oh, that was our house. Oh, wow. They're selling it for a lot more than they paid us. So CarMax did this, and it was probably scary to a lot of other car companies. But then what did other car companies start doing? We can do that too. Hey, this is Baxter Subaru in Omaha, Nebraska. We'll buy from you, even if you don't buy from us. This one is Larry Miller, Chrysler, in Albuquerque. We'll buy your car whether you buy one from us or not. So you see this with big things. I have no doubt that within the next little while, once Open Door spends a ton of money and starts testing the waters, that other real estate companies, maybe us as well, will have a program like this, where if there's a need for that, we can accommodate that.
I've already heard somebody doing it. Gary Ashley.
Keller Williams wants to start doing it. Bobby?
I get it all, but how is this different than if we don't sell your house, we'll buy it?
Well, it's just a more formal process. So if we don't sell your house, we'll buy it. So Mark Dorsman did that once. Do you know what house he bought? His house on Sunset that he lives in. He stopped doing the program after that. Yeah. So it's a matter of getting a, then you freshen it up and put it back in the market. Is it risky? Yeah. But if you do it enough, it's not all that bad. And you'll see what the risk is here in a second. All right, so this is the data that I looked at. I didn't look at, they went all the way up to Clarksville, but I tried to say the counties that were most applicable to us. So Davidson, Williamson, Rutherford, Sumner, and Wilson counties. I also just got tired of running out of time with more counties. So 351 total sales in the last 12 months in the 5 counties listed above. The average sales price for Open Door paid for homes was $263. The average closed price that they sold them for was $271. So it's a $7,800 difference. You with me on that? This was interesting. I'm going to block this for a second. I know most of you saw it, but what is the Open Doors like this big bad company that doesn't like realtors, right? I was shocked at this. I expected to go on the MLS and find no buyer's agent, no buyer's agent, no buyer's agent. Of the ones I looked at, in fact, I even looked at every single one that has ever been done. I looked at withdrawals, I looked at expires, nothing. Every single one had an outside buyer's agent. More inventory? We've been asking for more inventory, right? Is this a good way to get more inventory on the market? Yeah. They're paying a commission to you, what you asked for? 100%. I don't think that's too bad of a thing. Uh-oh. Hang on. Okay, so remember this graph we talked about a minute ago? So if you look at that, same thing here, 271, 263. So this is really the traditional model, right? The traditional model is what they sold it for in the end. That's what's proven in the MLS, right? That's the actual market value. Open Door paid this, so the seller left $7,800 on the table. Not counting any fees. Are you with me? Because the seller walked away, you talked to them, they said, I just want to sell the Open Door. Okay. So I sold it for $263.90, $958, that was the average, and then Open Door sold it, turned around and sold it for that. 7% versus 9%, so I think I said 7.9, it was 6.9% was their average. I'm sorry, no, it was 7.9, I'm on the wrong column, so Open Door is here. 7.9% plus about 1% closing costs, et cetera, so that's almost 9%, plus about 7% when you're all said and done. So that's a 2% difference. That 2% difference equates to $4,731 on average. So, Open Door, you actually left $12,500 on the table by choosing Open Door. So the question is the convenience worth $12,500? And that's, sometimes it might be. But we can show our value and ask that question. I mean, I'll send this out. And we can make it, would it be helpful to have this made to look prettier? Yeah. Okay. So we can make,
And maybe for next week, a comparable kind of program that's coming up too to this, which I think is really valuable to know what we're facing. Have you heard of Ribbon?
I have.
And that's a little different.
A little bit.
Can you talk about that maybe next week?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for Ribbon. All right. So $12,500. Where does Open Door sell? oops, not much on the west side of town. I know this map is small, but basically, this is Pegram, Bellevue, so this is kind of the left, right, Franklin. So, that Rutherford County corridor, Murfreesboro, Smyrna, 24 corridor is huge. Some stuff out Hendersonville, Mount Juliet is big. It's more east than west. A little bit in Clarksville. There's just a screenshot of the MLS map. Any takeaways from that? So somebody said lower price point. All right, so here's this spreadsheet that I put together last night. So this is, I know you can't see these numbers, don't worry about it. I basically highlighted in red every time Open Door lost. So every time that they bought a house and ended up selling it for less than they paid for it. Right? So, and then I overlaid what kind of where the numbers are. So it starts at 110. So 150s, they had a couple, 200, which it starts to get hairy. 250, it's like, you win some, you lose some. 300, it's like, you lose some, you lose some. 350, 400, 500, it's not doing so well. There's a lot of losses. So my sense is, and they're pretty new to this market, my sense is they're not idiots, they're looking at this stuff too. And they're either going to start making lower offers for those higher price points, or they're just going to kind of shy away from them. But I doubt they'll shy away from them. I think they'll just make lower offers. You start learning from your behaviors. Start losing money long enough, then you get the message. So that 7,500 average that we talked about, or 7,800 average right here, that takes into consideration a lot of the losses also. So my sense is, so I'll ask you, I'll shut up for a minute. What is if that takes into consideration a lot of the losses, if those losses, if Open Door starts making lower offers and tries to avoid their losses, then what happens to that? Right? Their Open Door offer average goes down, so that delta might go to 10, 12, 15, which then when you add in all the fees, could bring that up to closer to 20. So here is, I'm going to show you the just a little example, and this is tiny, but if you look at, for instance, Open Door bought a home on Williamsburg Drive for $149 or $157, and they sold it for $149. They lost $8,000. That was a 5.3% loss, right? So these are all. So I just put them in a win and loss column right here.
That doesn't include any repairs that they've done, right?
That doesn't include any repairs that they've done, right? So this is just, because I don't know what that is, so I'm just looking at the numbers of the math that I have.
Yeah.
So loss, 191. Look at some of these. Look at this guy. But look at this guy. This poor sucker. I want to interview this guy. All right. Where is he? Right here. He's in Antioch. They gave him $195 for his house, and they resold it in a very short time later for $238. This poor soul has lost $43,000. That is, what is that? 20% of his house? No. Yeah. Oh my gosh. 18%. Yeah. Kate?
Okay, so I remember in some education classes, they were saying, once you have a license, you have to tell people the market value of their house. You can't buy their houses because they don't know how much they're worth and then turn around and sell them for a profit because that's the duty to the public or something.
Interesting.
So
Once you, I mean, it's embarrassing. I hadn't really thought about that, but that's true. So Kate says, I remember in real estate class, once you have a license, your fiduciary duty is to give the market value. However, who are they representing?
They're representing Open Door.
I remember it wasn't like you have to pay market value, but if you're asked to tell people market value.
Are you obligated to tell another party market value that's unrepresented?
If they ask you.
If they ask you.
I mean, if someone that I was wondering, how are they avoiding some big lawsuit from somebody like that guy?
Well, so the reality is I think they can claim we don't know. I mean, we don't know what the market value is until we, and it's clear they don't know because they mess up a lot. As you scroll down here, what's that? there's some repairs, right? So they have to leave some repairs, but they're also telling you we're paying. I think they're very open that we're paying you less than what your value is, than what you can sell it for. But Open Door is.
So they have.
Yeah, they're licensed real estate agents on their MLS. So
They're a licensed brokerage.
they're licensed brokers. Yeah, they're part of GNAI.
Zach, it's so like in this example, 213, they bought it, they sold it for 213, this is $2,000. But then they're still paying the buyer's agent, it's like, is that?
Well, they collected that in the fees. So this doesn't count for all the fees. So that's just the hard cost, and then if you scroll over, so the Open Door initial sales price, 9% of that was $19,000, and then 7% would be $14,000 based on the retail price. So really, the original owner's total loss was only about $2,000. So if you look at some of these, actually, the original owner made some money. Look at that. This owner probably made $10,000 by selling it with Open Door. So Open Door had a big loss on this. Open Door bought it for $241, sold it for $225. They lost $16,000 after all the fees. The seller made out like a bandit. So some of your sellers might say, "Man, I got this offer." If you look at the comps, you're like, "You should take it." I think it's your job to say you should take it. Help you buy something else.
Do you have days on market then?
I don't have them. That was. If anybody else wants to spend some time doing that, I got all the data.
We have 9 minutes left.
So
9 minutes.
that is. So anyway, bottom line is you got a lot of stuff. I'll send all this out so you can look at it. And then so the other thing, this is just one more way to look at it, but if you look at where they start getting, those are they win some, they lose some, they win some, they lose some, right? Here they're winning basically up until about 250, and then they start losing. So feel better? All right. Real quick, anybody, I was looking at some stats last night as well. You know where Village is number 1 right now? East Nashville. Area 6, Village has more market share with the inventory in Area 6 than any other brokerage, pushing 10%, 9.07%. There's currently $245 million worth of inventory, active, pending, and closed, and Village accounts for $22 million. Or active, pending, I didn't mean to put closed there, I meant active and pending. And Village accounts for $22 million of that, which is crazy if you think of that in Area 6. How's the market? These came out. Anybody post these yet for June? All right, so these came out. They're on VLearn. You can download those on VRes Market. Average price in Williamson County is $606. You know what the average price is for Davidson? How much? $406. 200,000 difference. What about Wilson? 396 actually. Yeah, 396. So we got some agents that do some stuff in Wilson County, so we're sort of including that as well. But 57 days in the market. Total new listings are 1,000 in Davidson or Williamson, and Davidson is almost double that at 2,000. Total choices are 2,000 in Williamson and about 3,500 in Davidson, and then 4,500 in Wilson. So Boomtown. Who set up at least one e-alert? Nice, y'all. Good work. Are they working out? Do people get their stuff? Set one up for yourself if you haven't done it. Try it out. All right, I'm going to skip a couple things because we ran a little bit long on that stuff.
I'm sorry. The VTalk today is an inspector. How many were at the appraiser last week? It's really, really good. It's going to be another question and answer format. David Bybee is the appraiser. He is pretty terrific. So be here and let's see how we can rip him to shreds. Like we did the
There you go. All right, photos, real quick, bathrooms. Those are looking good here downstairs. Peek in the door downstairs if you haven't. They're coming along. I'll put me and Scott and Crystal here because I don't have any of the others yet, but Caitlin's taking some nice shots. So those are still happening today for anybody who signed up. It's on the pedestrian bridge. You just go downtown, get off the interstate, and go to the Titan Stadium, and it's right there. Let's see here, just some other stuff. We talked about that last week. Business cards. All right, coming soon. What do we have? Broker opens. City Living Team, y'all have one.
broker open at the Chelsea this Thursday at 5 o'clock, 5 to 7. So bring your clients, as well. We'll have the units open to tour, so should be fun.
Thank you. Yeah, sure. Any other broker opens?
Broker opens? I am holding a broker open on my personal home, 3300 Nevada, on Thursday from 4 to 6. Somehow we'll pull this off. It is also on coming soon here, so do you mind if I just throw that in, Zach? Alright, so we got 3,300 square feet. It's at 3300 Nevada. Sylvan Summit, it's on the I don't know, this side of Charlotte, the more established, less HPR side. I picked every doorknob, light switch, and where it goes and how it works, and it's a really incredible home. There's 3 decks, unobstructed views of downtown from all 3 levels. It's got a big lot for a pool. It's slightly sloped, so if you want to do an infinity pool, it's got a hot tub on the 2nd deck overlooking downtown. Master suite, only thing on 3rd level with just tons of great features. I'm really proud of it. It's been 5 years, amazing place for me. It's just time to downsize. So I'm doing a broker open on Thursday, 4 to 6. Drink, snacks, all that jazz, and we're going live on Tuesday at 1:01. So it may seem bold, but compared to what's out there, in my opinion, it's a steal. You should always hire another realtor when you're selling your own house, right?
All right, Steve, you here? Steve's got one in Auburn Lane coming up for 649 Green Hills near Woodmont. Robbie Stone. Oh, it's Robbie. No, didn't see Robbie. Robbie's got one on RD in 37216, adding to the Area 6 market share, under 400,000, coming in July 25th. Scott, Ashwood.
Yep. Glitter, rainbows, and everything else you can imagine. It's a really wonderful home, right up the street, 1806, Ashwood, 43, got a really awesome bourbon tasting room downstairs. Trying maybe to have it open for broker open later this week. If not, then probably sometime next week. But $1,015,000.
I'm gonna be the pastor of the.
Oh, and Mary Brooke has an open house today too. And Kendi has one broker open today. No, sorry, Kendi.
I have 6214B California Ave coming, detached home built in 2015, 3 beds, 3 full baths, 2-car garage door, fenced in yard, almost ready to go.
Seth.
Sorry.
I was trying to help with the microphone.
Thank you, ma'am. I got a new construction of a corner lot down the street here at 12 South, 2020 10th Avenue. It's a 4-bedroom, 4-bath, 3,150 square feet, and we're asking $1,095,000. Some of y'all are familiar with the Magnus Group's work over there, and that does include a garage too. Didn't put that on there, sorry.
Jake, where's Jake? Jake Griffin. I don't see him. You gonna talk about him?
Brookwood and 6th Avenue North. I'll send this out here a little bit.
Okay. Trisha Egan. Okay. Andy Allen, I saw you.
Good morning, 1709 Holly went live yesterday at 5 o'clock. It's a 30s bungalow, now arranged as a duplex, 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom first, 1 bedroom up, easy conversion back. We're ready to show it. It started to be shown, 469.9. And then to Donaldson, which is my new favorite place. This is 211 Theodore, just inside Riley Parkway on Lebanon Road, 10 minutes to downtown. Mid-Century Ranch just completely renovated, 1-car garage, screened-in porch. Looks really cute, $289.9.
Okay, we have Elizabeth.
Here, Elizabeth? I'm Elizabeth today.
Okay, so she has 2 coming up, 1777 Dover Glen Drive in Antioch, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, ranch, well maintained, ready to move in, but she says it is still kind of a bit of a fixer-upper, so you've got some room to make some improvements at 205 and 221 Timber Way Drive. is a townhouse, also ready to move in, but could have some improvements made at 149. So you've got a great price point for somebody on that one.
Great. Okay, we heard from Teddy.
We got one more.
Oh, we got another one, Teddy. We got two more.
This is a Beauty Nations. It's Jeff Easted. He does an incredible job. So what I want to point out about this, it's got two master closets, and then within the master closet is a safe room, private room where you can put your valuables, and then he did a safe in the floor. So he always tries to put something extra in his homes. It's got some really cool built-in fireplace, 2 islands, which with a split between it, which is really cool. Gas cooking, vent to exterior, 525 with a 2-car rear car garage port. So it's a really sharp house. That's going to go live tomorrow. You can preview today if you want. By Felicia, this is a lot I have in Sylvan Summit. It's 370. It's HPR. It's level. It's home is 2 doors down, went for $263 a foot. Sold for $790 in 40 days. So there's money in here. Why I'm not building on it? I've owned it since 13, and I'm just ready to move on to something that's built because that's not my core business. Thank you.
Good work. All right. I think that's it. Anybody else have anything? No one here? All right. What were your takeaways today?
Open door.
You learned a lot about open door, obviously. Who's going to go and make an open door offer? Ask Leonard. Try it. No obligation. Free. No obligation. It's super fast. It probably takes 5 minutes to fill up the stuff. I never got a phone call from anybody. I never got hounded. I tried like 3 or 4 times. They just tell me online, sorry, we don't buy stuff in your area right now. That's it. What else? We've got rates. What are rates today? 4%. And then, oops. And we've got, let's see here. I think that is, lost my way here. I think that's it, y'all. Next up, we've got a V-Talk on, actually it's inspection. Wrong slideshow. All right, thank you for coming. Have a wonderful week.